Hey, hello, how's everybody doing today? This is Rich Harshaw, and I am here for our TMAC Tuesday Morning Ad Clinic. And an interesting phenomenon has transpired over the last couple of months, and that interesting phenomenon is that as we have transitioned our company more and more into a fulfillment services provider, and less of a marketing training firm, we have less and less people that are submitting ads and marketing pieces for review on our Tuesday Morning Ad Clinic. And that's unusual and a new thing for us. So we're trying to adjust and adapt to that. We don't have any submissions today for the clinic, but that doesn't mean that we'll send those who have showed up away without any interesting things to think about. I do have something I want to show you, and I'm going to show it to you here in just a second. I would encourage you, we do still have several people that are participating on the webinar, so thank you for showing up, just no submitters of ads. So if you do have ads that you would like to submit, or you have a topic that you would like to talk to me about, it's not necessarily too late to do that. You can reach out to Judy Schaefer via the normal email address and communication protocols and get a hold of her. Also, if you just have simply a question or something you'd like to talk about, I'd be happy to take that on today. And you can do that by simply chatting with me through the chat console or the chat function on your communication console with the webinar. So if you do have something like that, feel free to type it into the question box, and I'll be alerted, excuse me, on my screen that you have something you'd like to talk about. But if you do have an ad to submit, you'll need to submit that through Judy. What I want to talk about is a little bit of a continuation of what we had talked about last Friday on the webinar. If you're on that webinar, you'll recall that we talked about platitudes, and I talked about some situations where platitudes can be not necessarily useful or helpful or appropriate, but where platitudes are a normal, useful part of the process, particularly in connection with the MYM methodology. And what I want to show you is a tool that we've developed. We use it internally. And Joe, I see you're on our call today, so thanks for being on the call. I'm actually going to use the one that you just submitted to me yesterday as an example. Surprise, here it goes live. But this is an interesting little tool that we've utilized internally to work through some hot buttons to develop identities. And it came out of necessity. If you follow the history of MYM, not the whole history, but the methodology history, you'll know that we have a methodology workbook, and that methodology workbook is fairly detailed, and it's designed to really get you into the full mindset of creating MYM marketing on a hot button by hot button basis. What we wanted internally was sort of a, I guess you could call it it's not a cheat sheet, and it's not a shortcut. I don't think it's any of those things. I think it's more of a quick reference, something that can be done quickly to get us started. So I put together just this little teeny worksheet that has turned out to be a pretty interesting little thing. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to put it on the screen here, if you'll give me just 1 second. And you'll see that this is filled out for a new client of ours, and if a new client person is on this webinar, then hello to you. By the way, I see Tom Hines is on here. Long time no talk. Good to see you, Tom. Still use you as an example for the piano playing thing. In fact, Tom, you'll be happy to know that your piano playing story has made it into a radio commercial in Philadelphia that I wrote for a client. It's currently running starting this week. You're not mentioned by name, and it doesn't say Tom Hines, but it talks about meeting a guy at a party that could play anything on the piano, and how that takes practice. And anyway, it's an interesting concept. I love the story, and glad to have you on the call today. And apologize to everyone else for taking a minute to say hi to Tom, but he's been with us at MYM for, gosh, 10-something years now, so it's good to see you on there. Let's take a look at this tool. I'm going to put it on my screen right now. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And for those of you who have a little bit more MYM familiarization, like Tom and Rich Sirocco and Arnie and a few others on the webinar today, then this will really seem like a simplistic take on the MYM methodology. But that's indeed the idea, is that it's a simplistic take. Like I said, it's not a shortcut and it's not a cheat sheet, but it's kind of like a quick glance situation. So here's what we've done. And I've challenged my senior copywriters to use this to just help organize their thoughts. So what we do is we've got a little table here that's got a hot button on the left-hand side. It's got a hot button at the top, excuse me, and I've challenged them to rank the hot buttons in order of most important to least important. And again, this is going to help us as we start creating an identity. One of the things that we do for the identities that we create now, we create a website mock-up. We've done that for a long time now, but we're moving to a setup where we don't create mock-ups anymore on a PDF that we email to our clients. We actually do them live on a coded website. Now, it's not a live website. It's one that can be seen by anybody that we give the link to, but it's not their live website. But we actually code it, and one of the things that we are doing is we're creating many of our clients' homepages that now have sliders on them. A slider is rotating images at the top of the website. Looks nice. It's got sort of this big, clean, bold look, but we like to put not just images, but we like to, as you can imagine, put headlines on those images. So it's imperative that we don't just simply and only understand the identity of the client, but we understand the multiple facets of that identity, so that as we flesh out a 4 or 5 slider homepage, that we can capitalize on what are indeed the most important issues that we want to talk about, that we want to communicate to the prospect as they consider this homepage of this website. So with that backdrop, let's take a look at the tool at the top. Again, hot button number 1, fit any budget. This is for a company called Brannon's that is, I think, a window company. The evidence on this page would suggest it's a window company. I sure hope it's a window company. But look at the tact we've taken. On the left-hand side, problem we solve, how we do it, result and evidence to support, and then we write some headlines. So let's take a look. Problem we solve. The hot button is fit any budget. The problem we solve is the one-size-fits-all attitude in getting around huge markups. How we do it, so it's really just framing the situation and the problem so that we can say something about that problem, and more specifically about the solution to that problem. So if the hot button is that it fits any budget, the problem that we solve associated with that hot button is that there are other companies have a one-size-fits-all attitude, getting around huge markups. How we do it, fit any budget, never skimp on quality. We take an installer's view first, sales second. We're not worried about which window we can make the most money on. Instead, we look at what's best, the best window for you and your budget. Now, here's what I like about this tool. By asking ourselves questions like, what is the problem we solve, and how do we do it, and what kind of result and evidence can we provide to support that, it makes it real easy to come up with good information. In other words, to provide good answers to the questions that we've asked that are good questions. But here's what's interesting. I think that by asking the questions in this particular way, it makes it easier somehow, I don't really know how, for us to come up with the right answers. So the result and evidence to support it, quality windows with varying warranties, thus varying prices. All windows are ENERGY STAR certified. So they've got different windows, this company Brannon's. They have different warranties and different prices. So we're not trying to say that every window is awesome, because if you pay less money, you get less warranty, you get less energy savings ostensibly, and you get a lower price. But it's available to the customer, and it's not, again, at the top, it's not the problem of trying to shove the one-size-fits-all window to a customer. So let's read some of these headlines. I'm reading these for the first time with you. Let's take a look at them. Fit any budget and never skimp on quality. It's true. All of our windows are ENERGY STAR certified, and we can work with any budget. Okay, pretty good. Every window we sell is full Energy Star qualified, and our warranties are the best in the business, so you never have to sacrifice quality for price. We're not worried about which window we can make the most money on. Instead, we look at what's the best window for you and your budget. I like that one actually probably the best. We're not worried about which window we can make the most money on. Instead, we look at what's the best window for you. Now, if we were writing more about this in the copy or the text of this ad or website or page on a website, we would probably want to use a little bit more detail. But for a headline, I think it gives a good idea. In the additional details that we might provide within the body of the page, we might explain in more detail explicitly that other companies have fewer choices because they choose the windows that can make them the most money, and that's why they want to sell them to you. And some of the problems with those windows are that, number one, it may not be the right window for your situation. Number two, even if it is, it might be overpriced or it might be missing key features. So that's pretty good. Let's move on to the second one, hot button number 2. Oops, it's the wrong page. Hot button number 2, no hardcore, slick-talking sales presentation. Okay, we all know what that means. Problem that we solved, 2-hour sales presentation. How do we do it? Gary goes into a home, asks what and why, and then they need windows. Then he makes a recommendation based on their budget. It's real simple. It's real easy. So a little bit more information on that. I'm not a sales guy who installs, but an installer who sales. That probably should be sells. I never worked in sales, really. Yes, I'll come to your house, ask you what you're looking for and why, but I don't make a commission. I have no other interest in making you happy and exceeding your expectations while meeting your budget, and I won't stay 2 hours. Yes, many of our customers reported other contractors sending out a slick sales guy, and they will not leave until you sign. You'll never have to worry about that with us. I never have to avoid our customers in Walmart or church. Usually it's just the opposite. Usually I go to church and avoid people anyway. No. Headlines, we're never embarrassed about how we treat our customers. No fancy sales guy, no hardcore sales pitches, and no 2-hour arm twisting. Now, I like that second one better than the first one. The first one is good, but I think it makes better probably a follow-up headline. But, you know, I think in the context of this discussion, it works well. No sales pitch guaranteed, making you happy by exceeding your expectations while meeting your budget with first-class windows is our sales pitch. Okay, that one may get a little bit long. Here's one that I like. Let's add to this a little bit. Maybe the concept of, well, let's see. I can't give you a sales pitch, in quotes, because I have no formal sales training, and I don't really even know how to close. We'll put close there. Then maybe as a follow-up to that, we could say, all I can offer is an honest price on a great window. All I can offer is an honest price and I'll be out of your hair in less than half an hour. You know, something like that. I like that. It's good. Okay, hot button number 3, exceptional service. Now again, those of you who are a little bit more seasoned in MYM might look at this and say, well, this is really simple. And that's kind of the idea, okay? But again, here's what we want to do. As we go through any kind of project marketing where we want to write marketing, what we're really looking for is what are the hot buttons. That's the first place we start, and that's where that platitude discussion came in last Friday's webinar. What are the hot buttons? What are we trying to talk about? What do we mean when we say exceptional service? And you'll recall, if you're familiar with the MYM methodology, we use what's called a hot button anchor statement. And the anchor statement is a first-person statement written from the perspective of John Smith, the prospect, that talks about what he likes and doesn't like and wants and doesn't want as it relates to that hot button. This is a little bit different. We're not going from a first-person customer-centric viewpoint. We're going from more of a third-person company-centric viewpoint, but the ideas and concepts and principles are very, very similar. In other words, we want to talk about the problems. We want to talk about the solutions, right? So what is the problem that customers have with exceptional service? Most contractors get paid, typo, whoops, don't show that, get paid, they're not too keen on service. Service costs them money. How do we do it? We don't stop working just because we got your check. If you need us to go out to your mom's house because your son hit a rock through a window on a Saturday, we will, and we do for free. Okay, that's probably evidence right there. We'll do whatever it takes, not because it's good business, because it's the right thing to do. For free forever. We don't stop working for you just because we got a check. If you need us to go to your mom's house, okay, and it's a repeat of what we just talked about, good. Even if you break a window on a Saturday, we'll fix it for free. You might want to say this. On Saturday, now I don't know if they actually do that, oops-proof windows. We'll come out and fix a window regardless of who broke it, even on a Saturday, for free forever. This is good. I mean, it's just clearly stating what it is that they do. Your house will be cleaner when we leave than it was before we got there. Now, that seems a little bit out in left field relative to the rest of the discussion, although I don't think it's out in left field relevant to what they actually do, but that's not something we've talked about. What we may want to do is come back here and talk about other things we do, how we do it for free. We also clean our work areas, put down drop cloths, wear booties in the home, and vacuum the entire area upon completion. You know, whatever. I don't know how to spell the word vacuum, apparently. Okay, so it just gives us a little bit more to talk about. Now, again, in the MOM methodology, with a little bit more formal approach to this same scenario, we would think to write that into that anchor statement. This really becomes sort of our anchor statement up here. It's a third person, not a first person anchor statement. Problem number 4, quality installation. What is the problem that we solve? Cheap labor, poor attention to detail. Okay, now let me give you one more interesting topic or tidbit on this methodology. So if you are in the position of writing marketing for your own company as a consultant, as some of you on this webinar are, this is really helpful in helping you not just organize your thoughts, but it also is helpful for you to start probing your own company, if it's your company, or your client's company, if you're a consultant, to find out more information. So if I find out from the client that they have quality installation, then I naturally have to find out, well, what do you mean, quality installation? What do some of your competitors do? Well, they have cheap labor. They have poor attention to detail. Like what? Why do they have cheap labor? How cheap is their labor? How is their labor cheaper than yours? How much does yours cost? How much does theirs cost? And by asking these detailed questions, you start to really get a feel for the heart of the matter. They have poor attention to detail. Well, how does that manifest itself? If somebody has poor attention to detail, is that something that just looks bad because they didn't finish it out properly, or is it structurally unsound and not safe? Does it deteriorate and become worn out faster? What are the consequences of that? And just gives you an opportunity, if you are organizing your thoughts, to not just organize your thoughts, but also to ask more penetrating questions so you can get more information. The heart and soul of the monopolized or marketplace system lies in the details of the situations, okay? It lies in the details of the situation. Details, by definition, are the opposite of platitudes. So when we say that we've got good installation, quality installation, that others have poor, cheap labor, poor attention to detail, the more information we can find out, both about what the competitors do and what the problem really is and the extent of that problem, and the more we can quantify what it is we do and how we overcome that problem, then the better off our marketing is going to be. It's going to give us fodder for saying something that is intelligible and cogent when we start writing headlines, okay? Result and evidence to support it. 25 years of experience, every install done by in-house family staff. Our windows sell themselves, so we don't have to. Now, I'm not saying that it's the job of this worksheet, but I would be interested to know, you've got 25 years of experience. How many windows does that encompass? Is that more like 500 windows? Is that more like 5,000 windows? Is that more like 25,000 windows? How many problems have been reported? How many service calls do you have? How many service calls could you expect with crummier, poorer, cheaper labor? And the ability to compare and contrast is always very critical because it gives people a frame of reference, because most people don't have a frame of reference. If you tell people that most people don't do a good job installing windows, they can understand the general concept of people do a poor job. However, not being window installation experts themselves, they really don't know how those problems manifest themselves and become a problem for the customer. If you say a guy doesn't install a window well, what does that mean? How does that affect me? Does it mean that I have to get new windows sooner? Conclusion. Does that mean that my windows will fog prematurely? There's a conclusion. Does that mean that they will look out of kilter and a little bit out of whack? There's a conclusion. See, I'm drawing these conclusions, not just saying here's what happens, but saying here's the ramification of what happens. Okay. Quality installation. Let's look at one more, and then I think we'll be done. Only deal with family members. Normally have to deal with salesmen, measuring guys, and the installer. Could be up to 4 different people traipsing in and out of your house for one job. The problem is the sales guy will say and do anything to make commissions. By the time it finally gets to the installer, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. I'm going to guess, without having any additional knowledge other than what I just read, that during the identity consultation Joe had with this client, that's something that came straight from the client's mouth. And that's good. That's what we want to do, is capture those kinds of things. How do we do it? Owners do the sales, install, and service. Family answers the phone, comes to your house, does the installation, service for you. That's a real family business. From sales installation, you'll have family on your side. We're a true family business, not just on paper. When we say family business, we mean, well, family managed. I'd like to take this even further and draw some more explicit conclusions. These conclusions are being drawn fairly well in the problem we solve area, but they need to be stronger and more explicitly stated in the headlines. So let's come down here and let's write a couple of other headlines. Whoops. Okay. Now, what I don't know is, and what's not clear from this information on this page is, does that mean that there's multiple family members, or is it just one guy that's doing everything? Let's assume that somebody's answering the phone, somebody's coming to your house. Okay. The family-run business means everyone involved, from sales to install to service, is 100% on the same page with the same goals, with the same reputation to protect. And then a subheadline there, whoops, might be something like, no passing the buck, no finger pointing, no dropped balls. Okay, see, this is really the heart of the matter, right? This is the heart of the matter. It's not that it's family. I mean, it's cute and it's heartwarming that a family runs this business, but people don't really care that much about that. I mean, we do business all the time with companies that don't have family business, and it works out just fine. I mean, I have a company that comes and does my lawn every single week. I don't know if it's a family business or not. I know this, a bunch of guys come and mow my lawn and edge it and weed eat and all that stuff, and they do a good job, and I don't know if there's any problems or not. It doesn't seem like there is. I don't know if it's a family business. I think to just say, hey, we have a family business, you know, it's not, hey, we don't just say we're a family business, we actually are a family business. It still doesn't really mean anything. We've got to tell people why it's important to them. Why is it important to you? Family-run business means everyone involved, from sales to install to service, 100% on the same page with the same goals, the same reputation to protect. No passing the buck, no finger pointing, no drop balls. Okay? Okay, now that makes sense to the reader, and that's a lot more powerful. Power, precision, passion. It comes from the details. It comes from drawing the conclusion for the prospect. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully that was worthwhile. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Unless we've got any other questions, we will adjourn. Let me check for any questions that may have popped up. Okay, let's see. And here's a question from Tom. Would a prospect actually say, I want something that fits any budget? Or when they say, I don't want the huge markup? Seems like the fits any budget is best shown as the solution. Okay, that's a fair point. I think that the context is more important here. The prospect doesn't want a fits any budget window. They do, but you're right, not what they would say. I think the context is more important to communicate, which is most window companies will try to cram the one window that they sell down your throat. We don't do that. We sell you the right window, and that is oftentimes based on budget. Okay, so does that help out? Does that make sense? I think the context is more important than the actual statement there, which we've seen repeatedly throughout this as we went through this. So we've got to draw conclusions and tell people why they need to know what they need to know. Okay, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is we don't just have one window that has a huge markup. We've got multiple windows that will fit whatever case, whatever situation you've got. Okay, thanks for bringing that up, Tom. Get back to practicing the piano. I'm sure your skills are still strong, but you know, an extra 2 to 10 hours a day can't hurt. That's it for right now. We're going to be back here on Friday, and I'm going to be running a webinar on search engine optimization. It's what I call the non-nerd's guide to SEO. I'm going to explain things, how SEO really works in a non-nerd way so that normal people like you can understand it. So look forward to meeting with you again on Friday. Until then, if there's anything we can do, reach out to our staff and let us know. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye now.